I'm Kate.
I'm Elle.
We're down to Faye, and we actually have reading updates. So I'm going to throw it to our gay romance correspondent coming to us live from the men's showers.
I mean, am I upset that that's what I'm known for now? It's either like reverse harems or it's some kind of MM.
You like what you like.
I mean, I do. It gets my attention. And of course, I got this book when we visited the Slow Burn Romance bookstore.
It
And
was a very pretty cover.
yeah, I hadn't heard of it yet. So I'm giving it a shot. I have started Kiss the Villain by Rena Kent. I will say the general book setting is not really drawing me in, but the spice is spice. And
That's okay, though. Like, not every book is for every person.
Right. And it's not that the writing is poor or anything like that. It just, when I read the Dusk Jacket, it said something about university setting, student professor. And I was like, all right,
Yes.
fun. It's also giving a lot of mafia vibes at a university setting.
That's not really my thing either. I tried one mafia romance and it was Den of Vipers. And I don't need a plot. Like, I don't need a complicated plot in every book. But there was no plot. It was honestly like if you ever read like Wattpad, My Dad Sold Me to One Direction.
Ooh.
It was giving that because her dad sold her, but it wasn't set in a time period where I'm like, what do you mean your dad sold? Like, you're an adult and you're a bartender. Like, you have a life in an apartment. What do you mean he sold you?
Well, it starts everything is happening at once when you start the book. It also has secret societies, which reminds me a lot.
I do like that.
It reminds me a lot of the Skulls movie with Joshua Jackson.
So I loved that movie. I was so attracted to Paul Walker.
The secret society is student related, though. It's not just like a society in the community. It's specific to the school, but there's more than one and they're enemies. And so your main MMC is, I think it's a secret. He's secretly the head of one. And then he knows that when it comes to their not mafia, but I think it's a Russian mafia group out of Chicago. But
I'm very into Russians these days.
Right.
For an
that
obvious
does change
reason.
Things. But so his enemy's son is the head of this other secret society. They always have these masks on. So by day, he's able to pretend to be this goody two shoes law student. And then at night, he's heading up one of these societies. And it starts very quickly. He has infiltrated one of their secret parties and he's planning to, it's not really a prank. Like, they can't kill each other, but he's planning to do something.
That's a serious prank.
Well, they're enemies. This isn't like rivals. This is enemies. He was planning to do something to hurt this guy's reputation, and he gets intercepted, which is how we meet the other MMC. So it very quickly becomes aware that it's a dark romance. It's pretty dark. There is a list of trigger warnings that everybody, if you're going to read this series, you should look over the trigger warnings. There's a Spotify playlist that goes with it, which is also fun.
That's what I loved about Nocticadia was the student professor. Obviously, I love that. But then there was a secret society, but it didn't play that much of a role. But I did like the setting, and they wore like plague mask with their cloak. So not as like, I don't want someone in a plague mask to fuck me.
It's not a plague mask, but they do have very specific masks that each society wears. So he's able to easily hide under the mask. But I guess the people that are normally there know each other. I'm not sure. The thing is, it all kicks off very quickly. And then there's an unexpected encounter with the other MMC, but it's very dark. It's entered into unwillingly. And it takes a minute to get adjusted to it. And of course, once all that happens, our main MMC thought he was straight. Maybe now he's not so sure. He goes to class the next day, and the guy that everything happened with the night before turns out to be his new criminal law professor.
Oh my God, I love that. Like, there are so many books and movies and shows where the person, even Grey's Anatomy, where they walk in and the person
the very first
shocked.
episode, she's like, "You're my new boss." So it is fun, but because the spice starts sort of dark, yes,
it's okay because he ends up liking it.
Yes.
But he didn't know that the person was going to like it. So it's very...
His name is Gareth. Everything happens and it's meant to punish Gareth. But as things are happening, Gareth's like, oh, I think I enjoy like this, but I'm mad about it. Or he's figuring out his own feelings. And the spice is very spicy. But I guess because some of it is unwilling, it takes a minute to read through. And it makes it a little bit harder for me to imagine where the romance is going to develop.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this other guy's doing this intentionally. And although things evolve with their relationship, I will try to keep reading But honestly, to be fair, I skipped ahead to some of the spice because it is very spicy as it gets going.
Yeah.
I just have to go back and sort out the rest of the setting.
Well, thank you for that extremely gay update.
You're welcome.
I am almost through with Lies of Lena. I think I have 2.5 hours left on the audiobook.
Ooh.
It also just got to a very dark assault scene that
Ooh.
I can't decide. I don't think it was necessary.
Okay.
I understand in certain situations, so she's been taken hostage. And in those situations, not just fictional, but in real life, that happens to women who have been taken. But I don't know if I want to read about it. It was so graphic.
Mhm.
And then so there's that, and then she kind of bounces back. Who am I to say how long it will take you to get over that trauma? But the next day, she's having lustful thoughts about the MMC,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "You were violently attacked last night. Is
Yeah.
that some?" I don't know. So I don't know. It's there's that, and then the book starts with her being 16.
Ooh.
Her
Oh,
and the guy's 16 too, so it's not like a weird it's not weird that way, but I'm like, "Do I wanna read about 16-year-olds
no, I don't wanna know
having
what you
sex?"
I know people have sex at 16. I don't need to read about it,
Yeah,
especially
it
as
just
a
felt it
full-grown
I
adult.
felt weird about like, I felt like a predator, and there is a time jump halfway through where it only jumps like 5 years, so to me, she's still a baby, but I just there were a couple points where I was like, "Ugh, this is making" especially with the audiobook, like, with the
Oh, having to
violent
hear
attack, I was like,
that on
I
audio would be
don't like
hard.
this. So, yeah, I don't know if I will give a full review next week when I finish, and I did enjoy, like, 80% of it,
Okay.
but I'm just gonna be very honest about because you should always read the trigger warnings, and I probably sound like a hypocrite because there were so many like, the poisoner I loved, and that was he was literally chasing her, and she was screaming and running for her life, and I was like, "Yes!"
It just depends because after hearing about a violent attack, maybe some people do bounce back, maybe they push it down. I don't know. It's hard to hear about something the next day as the reader. I'm like, "Does that make
She just
sense?"
seemed to be very okay. And
Right.
that's her everyone deals with that differently, but it was just odd to me.
Right. Sometimes we ask a lot of questions and it can take
We
you
do.
out of the story a
Well,
little
I
bit.
self-insert. I put myself in every situation. That's why it's hard, honestly. Like, I love heated rivalry.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to read where there's no female because I'm like, who am I?
Meanwhile, I love it because I'm like, "This has nothing to do
Yeah,
with
no, I
me."
wanna be in it, like, I self-insert, I'm basically reading fanfic about myself.
Right.
So, where am I in this? So, I put myself in her position, and I'm always thinking through, "How would this make me feel?"
Right.
And I don't know if I would be okay with after being assaulted, the MMC is changing her, and he's kind of like he's not being lustful, but he is acknowledging like, "Wow, she's so
He's
beautiful.
still
She's become
looking
a
at
woman because
her.
he hadn't seen her in a long time." Yeah, he was looking at her less than an hour after her assault. And I was
Yeah.
like, "That makes me feel weird too." So I
Yeah.
don't know. I will give a full review. I know I keep saying that and then I continue talking.
Well, I mean, you're also somebody that can't DNF if there's something you don't
No, I'm
enjoy.
gonna finish it, and
And
I just don't know if I'll do book 2.
and that also doesn't mean that these aren't great books. It's just
Well, I love the world building. It is a world where mages exist, but they're kind of fey, like, they have pointy ears that they have to
oh,
hide.
so there's something a little bit more to them.
Yeah, and so she's a mage, and she is her and her mom are traveling around, and they've been hiding it. She falls in love with this boy. I'm sure you'll see who he ends up being, and they end up on opposite sides, and I
Oh,
love stuff like that.
sure.
And I thought the magic was pretty interesting, and there are some side characters that I was like, "I'm kind of invested in that person too."
See, that's great. There's just sometimes you start reading something and there's something that takes you out of it as an
Yes.
individual,
It
and then
did,
you're
it
like,
made me not wanna like, I had been excited to press play, especially because I did the Spotify Plus, free for 3 months.
right.
So, 3 months of unlimited audiobook, so I've been listening nonstop. But now I feel like I have to force myself, and when I get to that point, I probably won't continue.
Well, again, outside of heated rivalry, it's been a minute since I read a romance that was not fantasy in some way. So, Kiss the Villain, I'm going to continue to try reading it. It's just not what normally draws me in. So, there's things that I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep going, only because I don't usually mafia romance isn't necessarily my thing.
And I love mafia shows and movies. Like, I loved Peaky Blinders,
Yeah. And
but I
also you
haven't.
love Sopranos.
Yeah, I love
It
Sopranos.
just it's different reading it versus watching, I guess. I don't know. So we'll see. It's
I
not like
also
it's
wasn't
bad.
trying to fuck Tony Soprano, you know?
Right, right.
I
Separate myself
mean,
from that
maybe
one.
if I lived in New Jersey, I don't know.
Well, okay. Everybody has their different interests, but previously on Down to Faye, Tamlin bought Feyre paint, which she used to curate a visual trauma dump. An ugly new bombshell called the Adder entered the villa. Tamlin raw dogged the land on Callan May, and Feyre was saved by a mysterious, devastatingly beautiful stranger.
She also learned that she's had an entire audience of glamoured fairies watching her this whole time, farting included. Even worse, those farts that U-turn and come back, like bubble to the front.
Ooh, the devil's U-turn.
And the High Lord of the Night Court decided to accessorize the garden with a severed head. And that's what you missed on Glee.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. Accessorize the garden.
Accessorize.
Think you didn't need it. We pick up in chapter 25 with Tamlin called away to the border with no explanation and returning just in time for the summer solstice celebration.
Can we talk about this timeline?
Yes.
Because it reads like it's Callan May, which is the start of spring. It's like May 1st. And Feyre goes to sleep. And then it's summer solstice, which is summer. So it feels like we just jumped seasons.
Right. We're not given a lot of background. Is it possible when the willow sang her to sleep and Tamlin carried her back that it was more than regular sleep?
I thought about that because that is very fairy tale, but it wouldn't be in Tamlin's best interest
Right.
with what we learn later. And there are hints that time has passed. Like at the solstice, she's talking about some off-camera scene when Lucian told her it was fine to eat witch berries and then she tripped balls, which feels like a sibling prank. Or do you remember we ate those gummies at Scott's birthday party and they told us the wrong dosage? So if you go back and look at pictures, my eyes are half closed in all of them.
I think I really only had like a fourth. Like he was cutting them into pieces, but like
I just kept eating them because he was like, they're really low dosage. And
you were either like really alert or you were like half asleep.
I was half asleep.
Remember Kelly? Bless her heart, all the pictures, her eyes are closed.
We were all so drugged. But really, the Fae are the most classic fairy out of all of the books in ACOTAR in book 1. Like, they're just little tricksters.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Feyre, because Feyre talks about being tricked, like, into eating the witch berries.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Feyre would have survived Folk of the Air. Like, if you think Lucian is tricky, if you've read that book, imagine Feyre with Locke. And Locke was also described as a fox, but he was very manipulative and dramatic. I actually love that series, Folk of the Air.
I need to reread that. I don't know when I'll find the time because I did love that series.
That might have been where my thing with Tales came from.
Gosh, when she had to go back to the mortal world, I was devastated.
I know. And then she goes back and we're talking about like
Folk
it
of the
starts
Air.
with Cruel Prince, but she's a changeling.
Right.
And she's taken to Faerie, but then she's exiled at one point and she goes back to the real world. And it's so jarring because it is normal modern day world where she is watching TV and like going to the mall and
eating
you're like,
her
whoa,
Fruit Loops or something.
We've been in a fantasy setting this entire time.
But she's also allegedly blocked from coming back, and I'd be so pissed. Like, I am not done. I have things to say.
I would love to I'm not a cosplayer, I'm not good at it, but her hair, the Jude hair, that would be really fun.
Oh, I bet. See, we might have to find time to reread that just so we can do another review because it's been so long and I did love that series so much.
And I don't think that anything that happens in that series is happening to Feyre. Like, I don't think that
I don't feel like Feyre is in the right mental state to be able to handle these tricks. She's just come from the fight or flight. So like little jokes she can handle. They're kind of cruel jokes in Folk of the Air.
Yes, they are.
She'd be prepared to fight because that's where she's been mentally for a while.
Well, and they can force you to do things, which we learn a character can do here, but he really doesn't use it. It's used over there.
Yeah, they don't play, especially with humans. They don't play in Folk of the Air. As we talk about this timeline for Feyre, anything is possible with the Fae, but I don't think she was Rip Van Winkle. I think nothing dramatic for the character happened.
That's a good way to put it.
And so those months are just sort of skimmed over.
Well, it's like we don't have to hear about everything. It's like the heated rivalry director saying, "Did you guys want scenes of their douching?" When
Yeah.
everyone was talking about, "This is not a realistic look at how is that what you want? Do you wanna watch them douche in the shower?"
Do you wanna hear about his 30-minute prep time
Yeah,
ahead of
no
time?
one wants that.
Nobody that's not it's just that's real life, that's separate. Traditionally, the Fae would celebrate the summer solstice at the summer court, where Alice and the other Uruk fairies are originally from. So this is probably pretty triggering for Alice.
I say this with love and as someone who shares this personality flaw. Feyre is one of those people who circles everything back to herself.
Yeah.
It's summer. Oh my God, it's summer, and my family still thinks that I'm with some fictional aunt. There's a party tomorrow. Ugh, I hope Tam doesn't have to fight in the Battle of Balls Deep again. Like, I'm the same way. Even when she talks about Tamlin looking at me must be like looking in a mirror, and you're like, "What?" I know that you've gone through a lot, but how can you compare? I'm the same way and shouldn't judge. It's probably a trauma response, honestly, like being hyper vigilant of everything that's happening to you.
It is hard to balance that because you should be able to feel your feelings and sort through things that happen to you, but you also need to not take away from others' experiences
Yeah,
as that's happening.
she just doesn't experience anything neutrally. Every event is secretly about her or she makes it about her.
I will also say she doesn't always consider others as she's thinking about these things for her. You do a great job. You're allowed to have your feelings, but you do a great job of also asking after others and considering what this means for them. I'm not sure that she always
She's
does.
I guess she's like an extreme empath or like she empaths so hard that she circles around.
Well, still have to remember that her frontal lobe is still developing and she's been
She
in
can't rent a car yet.
right. She hasn't had to do as much development with the life that she's been living. So we're still
Yeah.
working on it. Also, is it just me or does it feel strange that Farrah spends all his time worrying about her family, but once real time starts passing, she doesn't push for proof that they're actually safe?
I've thought that too because her whole thing was I don't trust Faye. They're tricksters. They trick you into these bargains. You have to be very specific with your wording.
Hmm.
But she does just take his word for it.
And she does trust Tamlin and she does start to trust him pretty quickly, but I don't know. I need a little bit more than that. I understand the rule that she can't cross the wall without breaking the treaty and putting them at risk, but verification doesn't necessarily require a border crossing.
Well, early Pharaoh would have never accepted "trust me, bro" as an answer.
Hmm.
It's like she swung too hard in the opposite direction from hyper responsible for her family to totally hands off. And maybe that's the point because the version of peace she's living in right now only works if she doesn't ask for proof, you know?
That may also be a trauma response,
Yeah.
is that she's allowed to stop worrying about it for a moment, so she just stops.
She really became passenger princess. And I love that for her. I love being a passenger princess.
But the moment she's clued back in, she's like, huh, nobody worried. Well, they can't get messages to you, so how do you know they're okay? How do you
Yeah.
know they haven't worried about you?
Yeah, she is like, they haven't even yeah, she is assuming that they're not thinking about her at all.
Right, nobody's come looking for me. Well, you couldn't find your way
They're
over here.
glamored.
Right. Also, they're glamored, so if they wanted to come looking, they would go looking at your
Mhm.
aunt. Tamlin finally returns late in the afternoon, just in time to see Feyre in her new dress.
It sounds so dreamy. Like, I'm delusional. Again, I picture myself as the FMC in these books, and I'm like, I look so good in this dress. Like, this dress is for me.
ACOTAR is really good at describing the scenery and the clothes they're wearing. They're
Yes.
so beautiful and detailed. And I think when we were reading Crescent City, we mentioned that we missed that. I
Because
love
it's
hearing
just
it.
like tight going out clothes.
They sound these gowns that she wears, even when they're simple, they sound beautiful. She's wearing a flowing cornflower blue chiffon gown, and her hair is down. There's a garland of pink, white, and blue wildflowers woven into it. Feyre and her new curves walk down the stairs.
Lucian whistles and says, Cauldron boil me. She looks positively Faye, which if we ever have merch, a positively Faye shirt or hat would be so cute.
Mhm.
We do have merch. We do have stickers, but if we had other merch. I'd also love a shirt or a hat that said, fetch me the bathing toaster, if anyone knows how to do that. But Lucian is not the only one who notices Feyre is a baddie.
Mm.
Tamlin's pitching his own maypole to celebrate the longest day of the year. I'd love to see myself around that maypole.
Okay. To the fairies' shock, Tamlin hard launches their situationship at the celebration.
It would be shocking, first of all, seeing a 508-year-old High Lord with a 19-year-old human girl, but not only that, it's a girl who hated fairies and was brought here after murdering one. I just kept wondering as I was reading this, how many know what's actually happening? Like, are
Right.
they shocked? Are they looking at Feyre with hope?
Even when they know what's happening, wouldn't you still be angry first? Because the situation did still start the same.
How many of them knew Andrus?
Right. Is his family around me?
Yeah,
That's
did he have
terrible.
family?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but that'd be terrible. Feyre jumps into the buffet line, losing sight of Tamlin and grabbing herself a glass of fairy
Ooh.
wine, which Lucian explicitly tells her not to drink. So she does what any traumatized 19-year-old with zero impulse control would do and chugs it, then pours another.
Lucian's like, Chad, am I muted? I just told you not to drink that, but it's too late. The wine stripped away his glamour, and suddenly she's mentally painting Lucian, the real Lucian, which she can now see. But why was Lucian glamored? Like, he's at a party in his own court. Is it his scar? Is he like insecure about his scar? Is he like dampening his power like Tamlin does? Why
Well,
is Lucian glamored?
I'm confused how much he has control over and how much Tamlin has glamored everything in the spring court. Because, yes, some of it was lifted when he gave her sight, and he can control his own
Like, are
glamour.
we still doing that shit where he's glamoring
Tamlin's
everyone?
still glamored. Like,
Yeah,
he'll
he
let
is
his
like, because he has so much like High Lord power. I don't know. It's overwhelming.
right, but I mean, Lucian being high fae also still has a lot of radiance. I don't know. I
Well,
wonder if they're all glamored to an extent to just make it easier for Feyre's senses because it might be like, I don't know, too bright.
too bright.
Like Kate in New Orleans, Feyre loses her shoes
I
and
did lose
stumbles
my shoes.
stumbles her
God.
way into a dance circle.
It's so different from the girl who had a go bag ready and a butter knife on her at all times. She's literally kicked her shoes off and let her hair down. And bless his heart, Lucian is trying his best to babysit. Then the fiddle player looks up and says, I will look after her.
Yes, he will.
You thought Tamlin was off leash during Calanmay? Really, Tamlin at Calanmay was not actually free. That was obligation and a magical roofie. This is different. This is who Tamlin could have been in another life, one where he was just a fiddle player and Feyre was just a painter.
He tells Feyre to dance, and I can't help it, but my first thought is that scene from Hocus Pocus where Winifred is casting a spell on the town hall saying,
Yes.
"Dance, dance until you die." But say less because girl is sashaying and slithering like a snake.
What does that look like?
I'm
Is
assuming
she with the mute master?
I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a sexy dance, but all I can see her is I don't know. At one point, she says something about like skipping and leaping. And I'm like, oh, I can't.
Oh God. Is everyone in on this or are they all just staring at her?
Well, she says that everybody else is whirling and free, but I'm also like, you're on drugs.
Nothing about me
So
is free. Like, I'm never going to be one of those people that can just like, hey, just let loose. No, can't.
hopefully Tamlin is also drinking. Let's just not worry about how this looks, okay? Let's just move on.
Okay.
But then Tamlin breaks into a fiddle solo because of course he does. Then he joins her in the dancing.
Even if she does look goofy, who cares? Like, she is dancing like no one is watching. For one night, these two people who are usually crushed by responsibility, they're unburdened.
They're free.
They're free.
And I love this moment for them, for both of them, really. It reminds me of last year when Kate and I went to the fantasy ball in
I
Nashville
love
with
the
our friend
fantasy
Emily.
ball. We are going to the vampire ball, vampire ball.
Yeah, this weekend. So excited. This upcoming weekend. The music was amazing in the crowd, which was mostly girls. We
Mhm.
were here for it. It was just so much fun to let loose and dance like nobody was watching.
It's just amazing to be in a room full of people you already know have the same interest as you.
Mhm.
You don't have to be like, oh, have you read ACOTAR? You can just start talking about shit. And
Right.
everyone knows you don't sound insane. Everyone knows what you're talking
Everybody
about.
is so supportive. Nobody's judging. Everybody's laughing and just here for it.
It did actually break my heart to reread this scene because things just could have gone so differently. But it was all borrowed time, as Aelin would say, because the joy is conditional. The joy isn't fake, but it exists in the absence of pressure and threats, which isn't actually reality. So it is unsustainable.
Tamlin leads Feyre to a meadow where dozens of shimmering shapes float and sing.
I'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh,
These
I've
bugs.
that's the thing. I forget Feyre hasn't read all the stories.
Feyre
I'm like,
hasn't even read ACOTAR.
as he's like walking her through, I'm like, ooh, it's will-o'-the-wisps. I know exactly what they are.
Wait, what have you read with them in there?
They're in several different Fae
I don't
series.
think that.
And then also that movie Brave. She
Oh,
follows them
okay,
to
yeah.
find the witch's cave.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually, now that you say that, I think it's the Sword of Truth series that also
Okay.
has them, the Terry Goodkind series. But they are spirits of air and light. He then takes her to the top of a hill and she leans into him as they watch the sunrise.
Feyre says, my father once told me I should let my sisters imagine a better life, a better world. And I told him there was no such thing. And I don't blame Feyre for resenting them about this better world bullshit. Like, she's being kind of hard on herself, but it's easy to believe in a better world when someone else is doing the work to keep you alive in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, belief without action is not actually hope, it's avoidance or neglect with a positive spin. So I don't blame her for having that mindset before this, that there wasn't this better world, because they weren't actively trying to do anything to get to this better world or to make it a better world. You can't just sit around saying better world. You have to do something.
Right. Well, their world was already better than hers because she was doing things
It was
for them. Nobody was giving her hope, so it was harder for her to begin to imagine what that could look like. But now she's standing in a beautiful meadow with magical singing spirits, leaning against a High Lord's chest and watching the sun come up. He kisses her and tears prick her eyes as she thinks, this is the happiest moment of my life.
It's so whimsical and romantic. That's something I really enjoyed about book one is the whimsy. It's very fairy tale.
Very fairy tale.
Like, I want to kiss a High Lord in a magical little meadow and then watch the sunrise leaning against his broad chest. Like, God, I hate real life. Like, this is never going to happen for me.
The next day, Lucian's like, I'm so glad you had a good time while I was on border patrol with some company.
I knew it. I knew he had company. I knew someone was making that metal eye sound like R2-D2, like, wow. Tamlin and Feyre start openly flirting, and she's just glad she's sitting down because she is leaking, thinking he could have me right on top of this table. Lucian's like right in front of my salad. Like, he's so third wheel baby girl.
I love this for Lucian because it reminds me so much of Crescent City. There's a moment.
Yes, please have sex a little bit louder.
Right, Ethan. He's like, sure, I didn't hear everything that time. Lucian then shares a letter from the Winter Court.
God, what a fucking buzzkill, Lucian.
I know, you guys didn't give him a chance to get started, to be fair. The Blight killed 24 younglings, burned through their magic, and shattered their minds. His contact says the other courts are being hit hard, except the Night Court.
1 second, Feyre's thinking about getting railed on antique furniture, and the next, dead children in politics. Like, please continue while I'm mopping up under my seat.
We'll come back to the Blight killing the children.
I just have some questions about that after we get some revelations later, because I'm not sure I can trust that story or source.
Mm-hmm.
But before Feyre can learn how a blight could target and kill children, Lucian is pushing her up against the window. I'd be like, it's happening! But it is to magically shield her because they have an extremely unwelcome, extremely sexy guest.
Tamlin goes from a full-blown minty bee to cool and casual as footsteps sound down the hall.
And he lets them hear him coming. So already this entrance is very intentional and dramatic. The heartbreakingly beautiful male who saved Feyre during Calumet strolls in like Hudson Williams working the Milan catwalk, and Tamlin says, what do you want, Rhysand? Y'all, we have Rhysand, Tamlin, and Lucian in the same room. Guys, I gotta go. My train is here. And the audiobook, she says
Rhysand. Well, I think that's the same thing. Maybe it's being Southern. I'm like, Rhysand. I can't help it. It comes out very two-syllable. The High Lord of the Night Court wanted to make sure that Tamlin received his little prezi and to check in after the 49 years that Tamlin has spent holed up on the estate instead of under the mountain.
Rhysand seems disappointed Tamlin appears to be resigned to his fate, disappointed in how pathetic, his words, not mine, but how pathetic Tamlin has become. But Lucian claps back, "What do you know about anything? You're just Amarantha's whore."
Lucian,
Lucian?
this is how we lost an eye. Chill out.
It is. You have one more eye.
Like, just chill out with the back talk. Her whore I might be, but not without my reasons, Rhysand says. At least I haven't bided my time among the hedges and flowers while the world has gone to hell.
He's not completely wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
Little Lucian, the baby of the group, and Tamlin trade jabs with Rhysand. Then, faster than she can track, the High Lord of the Night Court is in Lucy's face, pressing him and therefore Feyre into the wall. And honestly, there are worse ways to die, is taking my last breath as a piece of bread in a Lucian and Rhys sandwich. But it's surprising how long it takes him to realize, which tells me that either Tamlin or Lucian, I guess it would be Lucian, are better at glamour than I would have thought. You know, like, it seems like it would be really hard to glamour something from Rhysand.
Right. It does take him a moment, and maybe he just didn't expect it. I don't know, because it feels like Rhysand would usually be very on top of this type of thing. Rhys, who casually mentions that he's the one who taught Tamlin the finer aspects of swords and females.
That's the novella we deserve. Like, inject that shit directly into my veins. I would eat that up about like the adventures of Tam and Rhys when they were younger.
Oh, I need to hear more. Rhysand adds that she is already preparing for Tamlin, and given what he's witnessed here, he'll be reporting that Tamlin is ready to reconsider her offer.
Then Rhysand notices the third place setting, and whatever game he was playing is over. He's livid Tamlin dare to glamour him, which, like, good for Tam again. That's like very impressive. Whatever game Rhys was here to play is over. Tamlin shoves back his chair and gets his battle toe beans out. And Lucian, bless his heart, tries to cover, like, surprise, we're engaged. This is going to be my wife. And say what you will about Lucian, he stays planted between Feyre and Rhysand. He knows he's outmatched. His sword is basically like decoration. If the High Lord of the Night Court decides Lucian's done, he's done. But he does stay anyway. Like, Lucian is very brave. And I know that he's doing it mostly for Tamlin and what Feyre, like, represents.
Mm-hmm. But he does.
But there are several
times.
Yeah, there are several times where he stands between her and danger.
You know, we were just talking about how Rhys didn't realize that Feyre was behind Lucian. And we know that he has mental powers we're about to see. So maybe he asserts it differently later, or has more capability to assert it differently later.
Well, I picture it like, is it Professor X, where he can like see where all of the mutants are?
Mm-hmm.
They're like little lights on a map. I picture it like that, like he can see all of the minds, but I guess it's not like that.
Well, also, I thought they had just stronger senses. How did he not smell her when he walked through the house, let alone into the room?
Well, I think it shows us how powerful Tamlin can glamour, which I think could be an interesting, like, I don't know if this is going to happen, but in later books, we see the Spring Court, and I don't know if we're seeing exactly how it actually is. You know? Like the very last book. I'm not sure.
I
think that Tamlin is so interesting because he comes off very alpha male, but then he does just kind of accept shit.
There's things that I don't want to spoil for next week's episode, but it made me question how strong his glamour could be at this moment based on the blight and everything else, because he said that his power is weakened.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I have more questions. But Rhys in this moment is not just threatening Lucian, he threatens his mother too.
They're all outmatched, but I'd be side-eyeing Tam like, anytime you want to step in, guy who said that he would protect me, like, just watching him sit there, especially when Rhys brushes Lucian aside and there's nothing between him and Feyre. I would be looking at Tam like, like, I know that she doesn't understand the power dynamics, but
I feel like she's about to figure it out. If you were wise, Rhys tells Feyre, you'd be screaming and running from this place and these people. It's a wonder you're still here, actually. At Feyre's confused expression, Rhys realizes there's a very big part of the puzzle that she doesn't know and laughs in her face.
I am one Faye laughing in my face away from trauma bonding all of us right now. I hate that. Like, it was like when she came down and realized that all of the Spring Court fairies had been glamored and they were laughing at her, or when she ate the witch berries and they were laughing at her. Like, I hate that. I hate feeling humiliated,
Right, there's a difference in poking fun and then
laughing at me.
fully humiliating me. Rhys takes control of Feyre's mind, revealing she has such delicious thoughts about Tamlin,
Woo!
about his fingers on her thighs, about him biting her breast the way he bit her neck.
He's saying all of this out loud to everyone. I'd be like, hold on, I gotta go call the morgue and see if they take walk-ins.
This might be my 13th reason.
I would simply pass away. And yeah, Rhys saying Feyre's private desires out loud is embarrassing, but he would go into my mind and he would come out a changed male. He would be the scared one after a peek at the fan fiction I am mentally writing on a daily basis. But what Rhys is really doing is proving Feyre is not safe here. Physically, mentally, y'all are delusional for ever thinking she was. Her next piercing at Claire's will be an ice pick to the frontal lobe. She is not safe here. He's just demonstrating just like that, he has her mind.
Right. It doesn't take much, and there's no protection against him. Rhysand tells Tamlin that if it's any consolation, she would have been the one for you, and you
What do you
might.
think that means? Is he just saying that she does love him?
Right. But he does also mention that you might have gotten away with it, but it's too late. Everything would happen, but too late. And she's even more stubborn than you.
Rhysand releases Feyre's mind and she falls to the floor. When he taunts Tamlin with how much Amarantha will enjoy breaking her, Tamlin begs Rhysand not to tell her about Feyre.
Literally begs, dropping to his knees and pressing his forehead to the floor.
No, ref, do something! It's like a humiliation ritual. And I can't imagine what's going through Tamlin's head knowing Feyre is watching him be submissive.
Hopefully he's not thinking about that right now and just praying it's enough to tell Rhys to back off, because then, as if it's not enough, Rhys makes Lucian do the same.
That's
Lucian's probably like, this is too much.
Oh, Lucian's definitely like, I can't fucking believe I'm doing this for this human girl. And Rhys wonders out loud whether Tamlin is doing this for Feyre's sake or for his own, which I'm not quite sure I understood what he was talking about. But Tamlin asked if Rhys is going to go tell Amarantha, and Rhys is like, maybe, and Tam goes from begging on the floor to in Rhys's gorgeous face. It's like Tamlin could take the humiliation. Surprisingly, he can take that, but then that made him snap. The not knowing, I guess.
Well, at this point, it's just taunting, and him being on the floor is not actually doing anything to win Rhys over, so I don't need to be down here anymore. Tamlin seems like he's overly willing to play the martyr, but again, it seems like he also knows that he can't properly protect Feyre, and he wants to be ready for any attack that come for him and not for her.
Mm-hmm.
Rhys asks Feyre her name, and terrified for her family, she blurts out the first one that comes to mind: Claire Better, Nesta's friend from the village.
You would assume that in this situation, someone would give a fake name, but do you think that's truly just the first name Feyre thought of? Or was that like a little bit of a morally gray protecting her family? Like, did she know, even if it were subconsciously, what she were doing? Because he's not just asking, like, just wondering, he's gonna do something about it. So did she give a real name?
I don't think she thought that far ahead, but also, to be fair, if you were like, tell me a random name, I would probably blurt out an actor or somebody we were just talking about.
Because my name is Orlando Bloom.
Right, that would be the Hudson Williams. Like, that would be the first thing on the tip of my tongue. I wouldn't be like Agatha Johnson.
He'd be like, try again.
I don't know. It's like, my first thought was Agatha Christie. See, it would be a person's name because I've heard it before. It'd be easier than trying to just come up with something, I think. Rhys is like, this was fun. Looking forward to seeing you under the mountain. Then vanishes.
This is one of those scenes that reveals new layers every time you read it. Some of them we can't totally unpack yet because spoiler free, but even on a first pass, this chapter is doing a lot of foundational work. We learn that the stranger Feyre met at Calumet is the High Lord of the infamous Night Court, that he's here on Amarantha's behalf, and that he has a power we haven't seen before, the ability to read and manipulate minds.
And that even though he now hates him, he and Tamlin have history.
And we see how much Tamlin actually does care about Feyre because, yes, I've seen people say they got the ick from Tamlin going on his knees, but this is a High Lord, a male whose entire identity is wrapped up in strength and pride and protect, and he's groveling in front of someone he despises. To me, that's not weakness. That's Tamlin. I think that's stronger, actually. Like knowing your limits. It's Tamlin knowing and more importantly, accepting that he's not going to win this fight. Not just because Rhys is powerful, but because Rhys was actively holding Feyre's mind.
Mhm.
Like this was a checkmate, and Tamlin responds by putting Feyre's life above his ego, which I think is actually it says a lot about his character.
There is, if you wanted to be a little bit cynical, another point that we can't really talk about till next week because we're trying not to give spoilers. But when Rhys says, "Or are you doing this for you?" It could be partly for him, but I feel like what we've seen from Tamlin so far goes more to what you're saying about protecting, and it's not about him. She's technically weaker, and he's doing everything he can because he loves her. He cares about her. We've already seen that even basic magic, like shrinking the table, lighting
Yeah,
candles,
I mean, he just made them a smaller table. He's kind of tapped
it
out.
taxes him. He knows he's not at full strength, and he knows he can't fight and win against Reese. Again, also with mental magic, I can't throw up barriers in her mind for her to protect her.
And they can't level the spring court right now. Like that would definitely kill Feyre.
It just trying right now wouldn't be brave, it would be selfish because she would get hurt in the crosshairs of whatever happened.
We love the alpha beast mode. I'll protect you from anything male. But sometimes that protection doesn't look like violence. Sometimes it looks like humiliation, unfortunately. You can absolutely read his inaction as foreshadowing, as a pattern forming of like inaction. But I just don't see a coward here. I see him making the only move available to him. And Lucian, our baby girl, on his knees too. It's like getting them on their knees puts into perspective where everyone stands, if that makes sense.
It definitely shows where they stand emotionally, but it also shows the power disbalance,
Yeah,
imbalance. This also shattered the little bubble that Feyre's been living in.
it
It is
did.
not safe here. It never was. Tamlin can fight the Naga and the Puka and all the monsters that he wants, but he can't do anything about the real threat.
Also, my therapist is going to hate this, but at the same time, I had tears coming out of my eyes for Tamlin. I had them running down my legs for evil Rhys.
Oh, Reese, the High Lord you
Oh
are.
my god, he's so powerful and smug, and he calls Lucian Fox Boy right in front of my ovulation. I'm so torn because my heart is breaking for Tamlin, and I'm falling even more in love with him for what he's doing for Feyre. But at the same time, I'm like, yes, bow to the motherfucking High Lord of the Night Court. I
Oh.
can't help it. Robert Irwin, forgive me for my animal instincts. And there is a lot of nuance in this scene, and we'll learn that later. But right now, I am just crushed under the weight of how hard I fuck with Evil Reese.
Bad
Like, I
boys?
love Evil Reese.
Bad boys do it for us. Reese didn't just intimidate Tamlin, he exposed him.
He did.
He showed him how thin the illusion of safety really is.
Because as much as Feyre had kind of fallen into passenger princess, Tamlin had kind of like fallen into a comfort zone too, of like just being happy. And unfortunately, that's not his path.
well, nothing was directly attacking the spring court, so he did have a moment of getting too comfortable. So maybe this was necessary. Here's a reminder, you might not be under attack at this moment, but it wouldn't be that hard if we wanted to. Reese also put on a masterclass in power and control. How could you
Woo!
not be attracted to that?
I don't know because I am. After Rhys's abrupt exit, Tamlin orders Feyre and Lucian out of the dining room. Feyre tries to disassociate from everything she's just learned about the Blight, Under the Mountain, Amarantha. Then there's the fucking roar.
Plus the cracking and shattering of furniture.
That is not whimsical.
Even if Tamlin would never touch her in anger, the message is still when he loses control, the environment becomes unsafe.
I don't like that. Like, I know I was just talking about, like, how proud I am of Tamlin for putting his like, checking his ego and being willing to get on his knees, but I'm also like, that's such a toddler
It's
response.
it's giving somebody that hasn't learned how to process their feelings,
Yeah,
and you're over 500 years old.
there's no, like, emotional I guess, like, regulating emotions. Like, it sucks. I can't imagine the guilt and the stress that Tamlin is under, but that's just not how you
Tamlin was never raised to be a courtier that played the games and hid behind a
he's
like,
a
hid
half
your
beast.
emotions behind a mask. He enjoyed being part beast. But there are times when you need to get your shit together.
Yeah.
For anybody that has lived with violence like Feyre did when the creditors attacked her father in front of her especially, this would be incredibly triggering.
It would. You don't wanna like, she was just on edge with Rhys and felt very unsafe. She needs to feel safe, and if I were, like, waiting for the other shoe to drop of just, like I can picture her just, like, flinching as
Right.
she hears him destroying
And it
shit.
doesn't mean that she necessarily recognizes any, like, I feel unsafe with Tamlin, but her anxiety has just gone through the roof. I
Mhm.
can't be calm, relaxed, get through things if I'm going to be triggered unexpectedly with, like, fight or flight responses.
We've all dated people that or I I shouldn't say we all have, maybe I'm just talking about myself,
No, I have.
that can't regulate their emotions,
Yeah.
and you never know how something is going to hit them, so you're constantly, I guess, walking on eggshells, like, constantly monitoring their emotions, and that's just no way to live.
Right, you're certain situations occur and you're testing the waters, like, "Is it okay for me
Yes.
to speak now? Are we
Mhm.
good? You can have another fit? Is it gonna be at me and I didn't do anything?" It's too
Now imagine
much.
those guys we've dated, but they're half beast and they have claws,
And they have magic that I don't
and they
have.
have magic. Mm. Tamlin finally comes to Feyre's room, sits on the edge of the bed, completely defeated, and apologizes. Now I feel sorry for him. I go back and forth so much.
He doesn't apologize for his behavior, he apologizes that she wasn't
Yes.
protected from Rhys.
Well, you can feel that Rhys's visit cracked something open because Tamlin is finally like, I can't protect you here. So he does what Tamlin always does when he's scared. He decides for her. He takes on Andress's life debt and tells her he's sending her home. And just a few months ago, this was her best case scenario. She's free, but instead of packing up her paintbrushes, she pushes back. She wants to stay with Tamlin, treaty or no treaty, blight or no blight. She's finally chosen something for herself and she's not ready to give it up. It's like you said last week. It's so funny. We got a video on Instagram of someone being like, well, Kate's always filled with rage, but every once in a while, like you said, when Tamlin had decided something for Feyre, first of all, you don't fucking know me. That's what this is.
I love that you guys don't think I'm so sassy. I'm so
She's
sassy.
sassy, but
So
I'm just,
I love that. I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm glad I'm not coming off like a heinous bitch all the time."
it's just me.
You guys just don't know. Tamlin says that he won't risk her, and he's not wrong, but this would be the time to start communicating. There are logical arguments here. Magic that he can't fight.
There are. He's right. And her best interest is leaving.
Well, he does say some of these things. There's magic he can't fight. There's enemies that she can't survive. But it's also a good moment to point out you're untrained, you're physically outmatched, and it's
But who
not
set that system up?
right. It's not meant to be, but even if that wasn't good planning, it's not meant to be condescending. We're stating facts. We're
Yeah.
being logical in this moment, but Feyre's not ready to hear that because this is hitting her in her feels. Feyre can understand the concept of the blight, but she doesn't understand the threat that Amarantha and Rhys play or what that has to do with her. So of course she's upset because she knows what she sees because that's the information she's been given. Tamlin could take an opportunity to explain literally any of that, but instead he shuts it all down.
Well, we're seeing a pattern starting to form. When Tamlin is overwhelmed, he shuts down. And like, I do too. A lot of people do. But Feyre also isn't reading between the lines. Like, she's not reading anything, but she's not understanding the stakes. Like, he's not communicating enough, but then she's not understanding everything that she could, right? I mean,
It's
I've
not her
read the
fault.
series, so I know what's gonna happen, but it's easy for me to be like, "I think I could understand what's going on."
But how many movies, TV shows, books, how many things have we seen that have explained situations like this? So we know to jump to certain assumptions. Feyre's literally lived in a cottage with her family, not reading, knowing the world around her, and that's it. So I have moments where I have to give more grace. Of course, Feyre can't read between the lines. She has no idea what's going. She's never seen anything like this.
She just takes everything so personally, like, "You're sending me away because I'm useless in a fight. You're sending me away because who would want someone covered in thorns? Babe, he's sending you away because he loves you." You know? But that's not the conversation they're having. The only conversation they're having would be Feyre's vagina pulsing in Morse code,
Okay,
because they kind of that's another pattern that's forming, kinda covering up what they need to be talking about with the physical.
right. And you can express feelings physically, but there's some conversations that actually need to be had with words.
Well, and also, as much as I know that they need to be talking, I am here for Tamlin using a claw to shred through silk and lace. Mm.
Tamlin pauses, saying if they keep going, he won't be able to stop. And I'm pretty sure Pharaoh's like, give me everything.
Yeah, make me your beneficiary. Give me everything.
There's feasting and fracturing and sheathing and a
A
little
little
nap.
nap.
And round two, then Tamlin tries to pull away, telling her to get some sleep before her big journey tomorrow.
They had very different understandings of what just happened. She's like, "I'm still leaving?" She thought it was him choosing her, but for Tamlin, it was really goodbye. Just when this place had finally become her home instead of a prison, when stay with the High Lord had become a hashtag cauldron blessing instead of a curse. It's just so tragic. I'm hard on Feyre because, again, I self-insert and I'm hard on myself. But this is so sad. She's finally found a place. She feels like she belongs. She's finally found someone that she loves. Am I gonna start crying? That
Don't.
she loves, and now it's like, "You have to leave."
It is not fair because we want to be upset with Feyre. Like, Feyre, fight back, push back. In her defense, Tamlin shuts everything down. So even if she fought back, there's a lot she doesn't know. So it's hard to come up with some sort of logical argument that he could see your side if he's just going to use magic on you or force his way anyway.
I think Feyre has daddy issues
Also, that.
because she's been looking to her father to make decisions for her entire life, and he wouldn't. So now she's like, "Daddy?"
Well, and Tamlin has protected her thus far. He's made decisions that have been to her benefit, so she doesn't have a reason not to trust. She might be upset with it, but she doesn't have a reason not to trust what he's doing as being the best method because she doesn't know this world. She doesn't have magic, and he does. You have to take his word for it because that's all you know. As Feyre drifts off, she hears Tamlin whisper, "I love you, thorns and all." And when she wakes, he's gone.
At least give me a towel before you go.
Right? Talk about a big yeasty.
Why do we do that? Everything I read, I'm like, "Oh God, I hope she went to the bathroom. She's gonna get a UTI."
Because it's just, there's moments where you're like, that sounds romantic. I just can't think about real life. The next morning, Alice dresses Feyre in a frilly pink dress and little ivory hat.
A little deportation, get ready with me. Like, what a cute little outfit to get kicked out. And you know, Alice wants to scream. Feyre says she doesn't like goodbyes, and Alice is like, "Same, but enjoy your freedom, I guess." Like, everyone around her it's not the goodbye she was expecting from anyone.
Right. They're not mad, but they are openly resentful.
I
Which
would be, you know what? I would be very mad at Tamlin.
it feels like a sign that if literally everybody else is like, this isn't for the best, I would have a moment of just, do you guys have another option? I don't know enough what's going on here. Give me information.
Well, if you're looking at scales and you put little Feyre, who I love, but then an entire court, potentially an entire continent on the other side of the scale, Tamlin, what are you doing? These are your people. You're the High Lord.
Mhm.
I understand being in love. No, I don't. Yes, I do. I understand. I understand being in love, but you can't weigh one against the other. That is insane. You're a bad High Lord.
Right.
I love Tamlin.
Next week, it'll be easier to explain why this doesn't feel like the right move. Feyre's next goodbye is Lucian, except it's not really a goodbye.
Oh, Lucy is spicy. He is like a McDonald's Sprite spicy.
But again, Lucy, you want to come in here and say something? I thought you were smarter than this. Why don't you say something, bitch? Tell
Yeah.
me. Tell me what's going on. I don't fucking know. I'm new
Spit on the
here.
ground. Grow up.
It just makes me more annoyed than ever because, again, what do you...
I'm annoyed with everyone except for Barkface.
Right. Barkface is like, bad idea. That's it. Same girl. Got it.
Tamlin snaps. It's not up for debate. That's another thing that, I mean, I know that he's High Lord, but I don't trust leaders who don't have people they listen to. I
Well,
think that is really dangerous
he
in
did
general.
say he doesn't enforce rank. Okay, but you also don't listen to anybody. So,
Right.
okay.
So you do enforce, that's a good point. You do enforce rank. You just don't have anyone else to put in your ranking.
Mm,
So Lucian just storms up the stairs. He throws his own little fit.
right.
Tamlin tells Feyre to remember what he told her, and she's nodding without asking, like, which part? But hey, at least Tamlin gets to keep her paintings, a collection that includes a painting of Isaac and one of her father getting the shit beat out of him. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. He leans through the carriage window, fingers brushing her cheek, and says, I love you, before stepping back.
Feyre loves him too, and she wants to say it, but the words get stuck in her throat. Like when I tried to give a blowjob with Pop Rocks in my mouth.
Big
And
mistake.
I looked like I was having like rabies. It was like I was foaming at the mouth and I choked.
How could you not? That
I was
sounds so
choking
messy.
and I had to spit them out. It was so messy.
I haven't had Pop Rocks in so long. Oh, that takes me back to high school.
Do you remember though when that was a thing of like, oh my God, this is like the sexiest thing you could do?
On the band bus, made so many jokes about it that some of the girls gave me Pop Rocks for Christmas, and then my boyfriend and I made out with them, and they popped all over my face. And I was like, just kidding. That wasn't nearly as fun as I thought it would be.
That almost killed me. That, and then I currently have cat scratch fever, and that is not a joke. I think I manifested it accidentally because during the small tangent, we had an ice storm in Nashville, and everyone's like, the South can't drive in the snow. It's not snow, it's ice. And there are people still without power 7 days later.
Also, it's not our fault if
we don't have salt. Our roads are unseasoned.
The electric company was like, yeah, we're totally prepared. No, you're fucking not.
No. So then we didn't have power, and I knew the ice was coming. So I caught Skinny Pete, the stray, and she was inside. Then I lost Skinny Pete when I tried to move us to the hotel. And then I knew a neighbor on my street was deaf. Sorry. So, and I didn't know for sure. So I didn't want to go up and start talking to someone. And so I went up and I put on my phone, Black Cat, all caps, question marks. And he was just kind of like, no. And I was like, okay. I turned around to leave, and it's still ice. I slip and I fall like a cartoon character.
Oh, no.
Like if you've ever seen that meme of Peter Griffin falling down the stairs.
Yes.
I fell, and then I popped, like it hurt. So I popped up and I kept walking. I didn't look back. And I know that he was like, what the fuck? So I was like, Black Cat. And then I fell in his driveway, and then I walked away.
What else are you going to do? You got to get out of here now.
But then I finally found Skinny Pete. Well, first of all,
you found Skinny Pete's sister.
I found Skinny Pete's sister. We call Bad Girls Club.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was Skinny Pete. So I started to pick her up because I was like, oh my God, Skinny Pete. This cat was like, I've been waiting for this. I'm going to kill you.
She throws hands.
She threw all of her hands and like got me, like I was scratched up. And then I was like, God, I'm going to get cat scratch fever, just like as a joke. And then I woke up and my arm really hurt. And I was like, oh my God. And the scratches looked really bad. So I actually did go to a walk-in clinic, and she looked at it. First, she was joking too, but she looked at it and she was like, this actually looks like a bite. And I was like, I would not be surprised if that were a bite. And then she felt my lymph nodes under my arm, and she actually prescribed me antibiotics.
Yikes.
Doxycycline.
Yeah.
And so I currently have I think it's gone to my brain. I don't know why I started talking about that. Sorry.
I forgot also because I'm just like in the story with you. I'm like, yeah, totally.
But we currently have Skinny Pete, and she got all of her vaccines and tests. She does not have AIDS, which is apparently, when the doctor told me that, I was like, what?
That's
but apparently
great for a street cat.
feline AIDS is really bad with stray cats.
Yeah.
And I was like, good job, Skinny Pete.
Now she's home and she's like, oops, sorry you got
She's
scratched
home
for me.
next week. She's getting fixed, and then
Ooh.
I'm hoping that we can adopt her out. And I'm gonna slowly do that with all of the stray cats. It's just taking time because I can only have
Maybe
cat
not
scratch
Bad Girls
fever
Club
so
because she's not
much.
into it.
That cat had been waiting. She was like, "I've been waiting for this opportunity."
She knew you looked well, she watched you grab her sister and she
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
ooh,
And
that's
Skinny
sus.
Pete, I can just pick her up and she's fine.
That probably should have been a sign.
Not Bad Girls Club.
Well, back to Feyre and love. Feyre does feel it, but she doesn't say anything to Tamlin because of what Tamlin has to face.
She does think she's doing it for him.
They'll probably never see each other again, but beneath it all, he's also an immortal and she will grow old and die.
And then she just says nothing. And as the carriage moves away, she doesn't even look back. Like, what is like? I just can't imagine Tamlin's face as he's watching the carriage go. Like everything, not only watching someone you love leaving, but watching what she represents leaving. I like it breaks my the
There's
gun, please.
There's
It
so
breaks my
much
heart.
weighing on him. I can't believe that Feyre doesn't at least say it back here because it does feel a little bit cruel.
It does for everything that she doesn't know the extent of what he's giving up,
But after everything he's done for her when he didn't have to, what he's done for her family, how kind and he's tried to be so supportive of her.
he just dicked her down twice.
You could die. He could die. We don't know what this Amarantha is all about. You don't know what the blight is doing. I know that he has a lot on his shoulders that she doesn't want to overburden him with, but he does deserve to hear that you love him. You share that love and you hate to leave him.
Mhm. I mean, saying it or looking back would, I guess, mean admitting that she wants something that she's been told over and over again she can't have by him. He's the one sending her away. So I guess that's another reason. It's like, why would I take this any further if it ends here?
I do think that she genuinely believes any future between them is doomed because she's
It
mortal and
is.
he isn't.
Currently, it is.
She's very practical. She's had to live in practicality and logistics. That's what she's been living before she met him.
This is the same, I won't say which characters, but in Throne of Glass, there's a couple where it's like, what is this going to look like when I'm an old woman and you still look like that?
Right. Love doesn't cancel out reality. She knows
That
she's
you're dropping bars.
She's practical enough to know that's not how this works. If there are sacrifices that Tamlin will need to make going forward in this fight, she doesn't know what's coming, but she doesn't want his love for her to hold him back from doing what needs to be done. I don't like it, but I understand it.
I also think Feyre doesn't say it because saying something makes it real,
Mhm.
and real things in her experience are taken away from her. She has spent her whole life really being anti-hope, and naming what you want gives the world something to target. I also think she understands on some level, like you said, that loving him out loud would bind him.
Mhm.
If he knows that she loves him back, then every decision he makes has her in the equation. Or the Stockholm Syndrome is wearing off. I don't know. Hard to say.
Magic pulls Feyre into a deep sleep, and she wakes as the carriage approaches a chateau with white marble and emerald roofs. That sounds gorgeous.
Does it? I guess it does. It's hard for me to picture. I guess I've seen green roofs.
I honestly
Roofs? No, roofs.
Roofs? Roofs?
What's the plural of roof? Roofs?
I think it's roofs. If I'm wrong, there it went. I honestly, to an extent, I'm envisioning something, I don't know, it's a combination of things we saw in like Como, but also some of those big mansions that you've seen in like the deep south that have like the white exterior with they have like green roofs. Now you said it, I can't. I'm getting a general visual of a large house that's very grand and just very beautiful.
But the fact that he didn't just take care of this family. This is richer than they were before.
It's
this
nearly as big as his manor.
Yeah.
And it's swarming with servants. Like, whoa, that's not where we were before. Jeez.
Human servants, gross. And I did highlight the line where she describes them as unfinished, graceless creatures of earth and blood. Not in a theory way, but in a fun little House of Earth and Blood nod, like a little multiverse seasoning.
I saw that too. I was like, okay.
I know, I love things like that. I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio when he's like pointing at the TV. Nesta and Elaine curtsy, not even recognizing Feyre at first. Elaine asks about their imaginary Aunt Ripley, but Nesta is watching Feyre closely.
Elena's like, "You are not going to believe
You're
this.
not going to believe what happened to us.
A week after you left to care for Aunt Ripley, a mysterious stranger showed up and asked our father, the famously unsuccessful businessman, to invest his money. Within a month, also, he gave them a trunk of gold. Just thank you for your help."
Yeah, this is just
Seriously?
he goes to the bad part of town and just starts dropping off all of his money.
This seems very realistic, but within a month, the investment doubles, the money starts pouring in, and the ships that father lost to Barrett were suddenly found fully intact with profits because a physical fortune that went missing for almost a decade would absolutely have been maintained until it could be returned to the rightful owner.
But of course, with Elaine, even if they weren't glamored, I still think Elaine and their father would believe this shit.
Yeah.
Not just, I mean, not about Feyre and Aunt Ripley. They'd be like, who? But about him just like getting all of this back because he made good investments.
They just don't seem to want to look at the bad things around them.
Elaine asks, "Didn't you read our letters?" "No, bitch, I can't read." But Feyre lets Elaine drag her into the house and talk about all their rooms. Sometimes Elaine seems a little superficial, and I know that that's not fair.
But
And
she is made happy by the superficial things. And I am
yeah,
too. Like, don't get me wrong.
I am too.
I love the silly but also beautiful things.
And it's not her fault, but just knowing everything that Feyre's going through, and she's walking around like, "Father's gonna throw you a ball in your honor." And Feyre just has this sick feeling in her gut that she just made the worst mistake of her life, leaving Tamlin. Nothing about this reunion feels like the relief that Feyre expected. She's been fighting since the day Tamlin bust in their cottage to get back. But this is not how she thought she would feel.
Right. And to be more fair to Elaine, she's probably excited to show Feyre all the new things because she remembers how hard it was when they all shared a bed. She's like, "Look how great things have gotten for all of us." And she wants her to be excited by it. She means it in a kind way. It's just hard to take in sometimes because her
She's not as good at reading the room.
well, her overall happiness and joy that Feyre talks about in the book is really amplified because things are going well. Yeah, it's easy to be happy when things are going well.
Yeah.
And I, again, not to pick on Elaine, I know that she means this. She's just excited to show Feyre how new everything is. And if when I got my house, I was excited, like, and this is my bedroom.
You
And
do
look here.
show us your decor each season.
Yes,
So
I buy a lot of really unimportant things from TJ Maxx. And every time I have new stuff, people have to come see it. Feyre invents stories about her time with Aunt Ripley.
which includes her reading to her fictional aunt daily. Very Joe reading to Aunt March. That
Right.
you would just go to someone's house and read. It's very precious, except Feyre can't read. Like, also, I can buy Tamlin implanting a memory about. So, first of all, they didn't pick up on the fact that they still haven't picked up that their sister can't read. And the whole story was that she was there reading to her, and she's asking if she read her letters. But also, Tamlin's glamour was just about them having this Aunt Ripley. Like, first of all, the way they spell Ripley, it's like she's from my hometown. But even if I were glamored into thinking I had a rich aunt, rich enough to leave Feyre a literal fortune of uncut gems,
Uncut gems.
I'd be like, wait, why didn't this bitch help us when we were starving to death? Like, it's like the glamour I understand, but it's like, how strong can it be that no one's thinking, why didn't she help us? Where has she been? Why can't I picture her, what she looks like? Also, I know we're supposed to be happy how involved her father is now, going through her trunks with a renewed sense of purpose, and his limp is better thanks to some miracle tonic a stranger gave him for free. But I'm still bitter over the last decade when I really needed you. I would just be still so bitter.
Well, that's because you're like Nesta. I think
I am like Nesta.
generally speaking,
That's why I get really defensive.
well, it just you think more. You have a strong personality. You're very present. If you're given a glamour, and the point is, people are happy to look at the happy things. They don't want to acknowledge the bad things.
But even if I bought into,
But you wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't ask questions.
Yeah.
Things are getting better, and you're like, "Great, this is so great. Everything's getting great." You remember the past time, but you don't remember the intensity of it. Also, they weren't involved in any of the hunting or actually having to deal with shit. So it's easy to be like, "Oh, it It's sad, but now we've moved on.
It's the same with the villagers, or not, I guess not the villagers. They're old rich friends who just start coming back around. I'd be like,
Mhm.
"Where were you when we were starving? You just dropped us." I would be so mad at everyone.
Right, which is probably why Nesta's not having it, but Elaine's like, "It's okay. People have forgotten."
Now that they've experienced what it's like being in a different tax bracket, why aren't they out there taking food to their old neighbors? Like, I know Feyre does that, or she takes money out there, but the fact that they aren't out there trying to do any sort of charity, and also, I mean, they're old friends that are still rich. I would be pissed at them because they dropped us like being poor was contagious. But I also feel like they are Elaine and their father should be helping people, right? 'Cause now that they know what it was like.
I mean, if you that's the thing, I'm not sure about this glamour. Is it glossing over the past so that they don't get upset and ask questions about what happened to Feyre? Because even if they've been told to think something else, if you don't gloss over the way they felt, they still would have felt panic at Feyre leaving, just not knowing why. If the emotions were still there would be a different urgency, I guess. So whatever the glamour has done, it seems like it's just really smoothed over how rough the time was for them.
Well, it's like on the way it's written, I'm supposed to be impressed that Elaine does the gardening by herself. She's finally planning to grow a vegetable garden now that they have food. Like, ooh, the servants love her. The cook brings her extra cookies. She's so sweet and everyone loves her. That's great. Like, I don't know what it is. Book one, Elaine is not it for me. And we don't know her yet, and that's not fair. In my opinion, will probably change. But it
She's
just the way she's written, and these chapters are honestly harder for me than the first chapter
mhm.
because I'm so annoyed with everyone. I'm annoyed with their old friends who drop them and then just welcome them right back into society. I'm annoyed with Elaine. I'm annoyed with the father.
They're much more one-dimensional in this book right now, and maybe the glamour has glossed over the way they felt previously. Maybe Elaine and their dad were just more disassociated from how bad things were in the cottage, like, they were happy to look towards the happy things and not acknowledge the bad, and that's how they got by. So, again, now that things are great, it's easier to gloss over the bad times and gloss over the fact that their current neighbors who snubbed them before just didn't realize or something.
Well, I think that they never truly accepted the reality of what was happening.
Mhm.
So they probably didn't even need to be glamored for that. They're just like, that was crazy. Anyways,
I mean, I think what's harder for me to read, because I'm not surprised by Elaine and their dad, and not in a negative way. It just seems like that's always been there. They're looking to the good things, not focusing on some of the others. So I'm not that surprised that they've embraced their return to wealth and fortune. I am surprised with Feyre when she returns, looking at Elaine, thinking how generous, loving, and kind she
I
is.
know.
If you come into money, you don't owe that to anybody. However, Elaine shares none of this unearned blessing, as you were saying, and the food with people that she just spent 8 years starving among. Even if you gloss over the past and you don't remember how bad it was, that was still a long period of time where it was bad. And now that you have more than enough, it just, if you're going to say somebody's generous, it feels like they would want to give some of that
Just
back.
because they're being nice to the servants? That's like such a rich person. Like when a
Well, that's another,
rich lady learns Spanish,
she's,
so she can talk to her housekeeper.
yeah, well, Farrah's literally saying, "Oh, Elaine isn't rude to the household staff." Wow,
Wow.
she acts like a decent human.
Well,
How kind she is.
and Feyre calls Elaine the strongest one because she never saw their old cottage as a prison. It was a prison for Feyre. Maybe it wasn't a prison for her. It's like Feyre has almost, or it's like Elaine, all of them have romanticized that time and have just forgotten everything.
And maybe again, some of this could be also that I'm a realist, I'm logical, I'm type A. So for me, I'm looking at Farah saying, I don't think that makes Elaine strong. No, you don't have to be super cynical, but Farah, you're the only person that got things done in that cottage. You're the hero.
You're
Nobody
the
would have survived
strongest.
without you.
Mhm.
That is strength. Now, you didn't wallow in your bad circumstances. That's also a strength. There's nothing wrong with having some hope, but Elaine is one extreme of having too much hope or living with her head in the clouds, and Nesta is the other extreme of being too cynical. Feyre, you're right in the middle, getting things done.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pick at Elaine. There's just little things that Feyre, I'm not sure if it's because she's always felt insecure about different things.
It's just
And
because Elaine is so sweet.
well, she's seeing other attributes in her sister and giving her more credit than is due. Nothing, nobody has to be mean to Elaine, but we also don't need to title her as being generous and loving.
And the strongest.
She's not a bad person. She's not tough to be around. That's fine. You don't have to
I
continue.
would say I'm tough to be around.
Right.
That's why I'm the Nesta.
Well, there are moments where Elaine is a little bit self-absorbed. How are you going to say that she's super loving and generous and concerned about others if it's not in front of her? She doesn't necessarily think about it.
Can I just say, I think it's weird that they're always talking about how the father is making like goo goo eyes at Elaine. I mean, I'm not saying that makes it sound like it's creepy. I don't think it's anything creepy.
I think he is very non-confrontational.
The fact that he looks at her with like heart eyes, I'm like, ugh.
It's definitely, he's non-confrontational, and so Nesta is terrifying for him to be around.
I wouldn't want to look at Nesta either. And then Feyre is just looking at his own failings. So of course Elaine, who's like smiling and there's nothing behind the eyes.
But that's Nesta too. Nesta's intentionally playing little tricks to point out where he's messed up. So
I'm sorry, taking his cane.
Right, but he's ready to ignore
that.
It is funny. But I think, I don't know, the doting on Elaine is very much because she doesn't hold him accountable for anything.
Yes.
And so it's easy for him to not have to deal with it. So he'll hang out with her.
I mean, I do that when, this is so different, but if I'm in a public setting and if like me and you are in a public setting, I'm looking at you most of the time because I'm most comfortable with you, you know?
Oh,
I mean,
a sweet thing to say.
It's like a metaphor. I don't mean you.
That's rude. I was having a moment like, we're best friends.
You look at what you're comfortable with.
Right. I'm not going to stare. I mean, sometimes you can't help but look at strangers, but I'll come stand by you. I'll come sit by you.
Yeah.
Even if I know everybody there are people that know me for me that I'm the most comfortable being close to. Apparently not Kate as often as I thought, but in general, I hear what you're saying though. It's just, it is easier for him to get by and he doesn't have to deal with negativity. There's nothing wrong with wanting a positive environment. That doesn't mean you can exclude everything around you to the detriment of others, And again, like you were saying, that time seems like it's been sort of romanticized when they were in the cottage. While their father and Elaine are thriving now that they don't have to think about all that, Nesta stays quiet and Elaine tells Feyre that she didn't finish the socialite season but wouldn't tell her why.
Elaine is embarrassed by Nesta. She makes everyone uncomfortable, so she gently floats the idea that maybe Feyre could talk to her. She did try to visit you,
I'm not sure if Elaine is directly embarrassed, but I have a moment of like, why?
Well, she's like, she's scaring everyone. It's like she's just minding her own business. She's not smiling. Sorry.
But Elaine, after years of watching Nesta be mean to Feyre and not mean to you, why didn't you talk to her? She's more likely to be cruel to Feyre than to you. You should ask her how she is. Why didn't you?
But also, like, have you tried asking her if she's okay?
Right.
Because, like, Nesta is so clearly not okay, and it's not on anyone else to make her okay. But I would like to think if I were in that situation, I would recognize if I were Elaine or the father that Nesta's going through something. Something has not only has something happened to Nesta, but there are things that she's struggling with.
Whether they all went through the same experience in the cottage as Feyre or not, they were all still traumatized in some form. And now they are emotionally developing and ... But it still feels like a moment of things being directly in front of Elaine that she doesn't know how to confront. And so she does.
She's like, yeah, Feyre, can you go talk to her?
Yeah, something's going on there.
You guys have lived in the same house for months. I mean, you've lived in the same house
You
forever.
shared a bed for years?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a moment somewhere. You guys used to bicker and fight about dumb things. You can't ask her how she is. I don't know. Maybe she tried and Nesta just brushed it off.
Too.
I don't know. Nesta was gone for about a week and told them that her carriage broke down halfway there because she was trying to go, according to Elaine, go visit Aunt Ripley and check on Feyre. But it was easier to come back after the carriage broke down.
She's like, that's weird. I guess the glamour turned her back. Then Feyre, fresh off making an investment in her father's company that even Blockbuster, who passed on buying Netflix, would call stupid. That's who you're going to put your money with? She takes bags of money back to their old neighborhood and starts handing it out.
I'm glad she didn't get robbed also.
I know.
Feyre did not have to do this. It's overly generous, and she doesn't owe these people anything,
But now
especially
that she knows what it's like to struggle like that, it's I would have guilt over, like, going back and living in my mansion and just knowing that people are out there struggling like that.
well, Feyre has every reason to be bitter because nobody reached out a hand to help them. Other families were struggling too, so it's not like they had a lot to give, but they also were not given any support. So you could understand why she would be bitter, but like you're saying, she's taking a moment to make an effort to help the other struggling families. As she's walking back to her family's McMansion, she passes Thomas Mandray and his crew of delinquents gossiping about a house fire that killed an entire family a week ago.
Then she runs into Isaac swinging his gangly limbs around and his pretty, plump wife. I guess that's a way to tell us that the wife isn't starving. I still don't think I would appreciate being described like that. But Isaac seems happy, and Feyre's happy that he's happy. Now, me, I'd remember him telling me he was getting married to someone else while I was still picking hay out of my bush, and I'd be like, "Big mistake." Like, I'd have my bags of money. Big mistake. Huge.
Huge. The ball Feyre's father throws in her honor is in 2 days.
They lost everything. They lived like Victorian orphans, got rich again, and immediately went back to throwing money around. I would be so tight with my money because I'd be terrified of being poor again.
Right. Are we actually set for life? For sure, do we have this invested somewhere where we can't accidentally lose it on a ship?
I know, is no one concerned that our father is looking after the money?
Right. Does
I'd
he
like to
always
take
make the best decisions?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he made rash decisions before because creditors were breathing down his neck, but I have questions about how the business was going before that. Nesta finally approaches Feyre, and the second Feyre starts in on Aunt Ripley, Nesta throws a piece of painted wood to the ground and tells her the glamour never worked on her. She's known this whole time that Feyre wasn't caring for some fictional aunt.
Not only that, Nesta hired the mercenary from the beginning of the book to take her to the wall. She tried to get over the wall to find Feyre. You know, the collective we've always wondered, how does this mercenary tie in elsewhere? But I think this is where she ties in. We saw how intimidated or cautious, even scared Nesta was of mercenaries because she was literally robbed by one.
Right. So that is saying a lot for Nesta.
That she was willing to go to this woman and pay for her help in getting Feyre back.
Right. Nesta is also very scared of Faye.
Right. It's like not only just getting to the wall, but Nesta was going to go over the wall to try to find Feyre.
She was ready to do the best she could, and she found ways to make it happen.
It's like, it was so surprising. I remember my first read just because Feyre characterized Nesta as cold and hateful. And this cold and hateful sister is the one who asked a mercenary to take her to the wall. So it's like we have to ask, was Nesta always as monstrous as Feyre tells us? Or was Feyre's view shaped by proximity and resentment? Or is the truth somewhere in the middle? Because I do think with all of the characters that we get POVs from, I mean, it's two, but they're unreliable characters because we're reading everything through how they're perceiving it.
Mhm.
And Nesta can be a heinous bitch. Like, don't get me wrong, she has a lot of faults. But imagine watching your sister be kidnapped by a beast, and then everyone around you starts thinking she's with some aunt that you know doesn't exist, but you have to listen to them day after day, believing their luck has just turned. I would feel like I was losing my mind.
Right.
And knowing there's no one else is going to go after Feyre because no one else knows this has happened. You're thinking, God knows what the fairies are doing to her. I have to do something because I'm the only one. Like, that is so, I would feel insane.
That would
so
drive
much-
me insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's again going back to that Terry Goodkind series. In the last book, there's a spell that makes everybody forget one of the main characters, like everybody in the world except for her partner. And he's like, no, she was literally this all just what? Like, she's such an important person. And he's like, no, 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 no. This is very real. How do I fix this? Like, how do you communicate something you're panicked about that nobody believes or understands? And they're like, okay,
And
sure.
Nesta literally had to keep that piece of wood that I guess had Tamlin's scratches in it or whatever, just to like keep her sanity.
Yeah.
To like remind herself of like, I'm not crazy. That happened.
Actually, wasn't that also in an episode of Supernatural? I feel like something happened.
Yes. I mean, there were so many seasons of
I know they
that.
would have so
Everything
many
was an episode, but yeah, I
weird,
know what
like,
you're talking
alternate
about.
universe episodes. I think that Nesta is a very important character because in many ways she breaks societal norms and expectations unapologetically.
She does she exceeds expectations of readers too.
You can be a heinous bitch and still have a sense of justice. Nobody says that you have to be pleasant to be righteous.
Mhm.
Nesta was cruel to Feyre, and it still pisses me off to read, but she also doesn't have to be kind to know what's right and to do what's right. Feyre asks what happened with Thomas, and Nesta says that she realized he wouldn't have gone with her to Prythian to save Feyre.
Nesta asks Feyre to tell her everything, and she does. When she finishes, Nesta asks her sister to teach her how to paint. I love that. Nesta had to not only feel insane being the only one who remembered what happened to Feyre and was so worried, but she also had to have felt so alone. And like now, Feyre coming back, it's like, I'm not alone, you know? And I think that Nesta puts off this energy like, leave me alone. I want to be alone, but I don't think that's how she really is.
Can you imagine coming back and listening to Elaine and their dad just
Oh my God.
natter on about the
And they're like, I
stupidest,
wonder
most
how
shallow
Aunt
things?
Ripley, poor Aunt Ripley, I hope she's doing well. And you're like, there is no Aunt Ripley, you idiots.
Each time they're gifted like bukus of money, and she's like, "Did you really think that stupid thing worked? You really think this?" Because
And
strangers just give big caskets of money because you agree to help them. What?
And then watching them go up to the old friends that dropped them when they lost their money and just being like laughing and dancing and it's socialite season and you're just like, fuck all of
No
this.
wonder Nesta's unforgiving. Nesta remembers every time they saw them in public and were publicly snubbed. They were
Yeah,
so rude to them
publicly
in
snubbed.
person. In the very beginning of the book, Nesta and Elaine are gossiping about some of these girls and the way they were treated and things that were happening. Nesta didn't forget.
It
Apparently,
also
everybody else
drives me,
did.
I like, I'm probably overthinking, but I would like to think that if I had all this money and then I went back and because they had their little gang of girls that they kind of presided over,
Hmm.
did they invite them to the ball?
Of
You
course,
know what I'm saying?
because Elaine is still Queen Bee, and those girls are now fawning
But
over
they did but
Elaine.
I'm saying, like, when they were poor, they had their little group that they
Oh,
sometimes did
well,
they
we
go
wouldn't
back and
want to
invite
embarrass
them?
them if they can't dress to match the
Like, did you
vibe.
I don't know why, but I keep getting stuck on that. That drives me crazy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about their little group
That
because
they were, like, head of.
I don't know what standing that little group was in, but I doubt, we wouldn't want to embarrass them.
It's like
They
they
can't
just
afford
dropped
a dress
all
nice
of
enough.
that, and they just went back, right back to what they were doing. That would drive me insane
That would be
too.
very hard to stomach. Nessa admits that there are days that she wants to ask their father if he even remembers the years he almost let them starve.
That's another thing is I would be so resentful now that he has money again and he's smiling and he's walking around, just knowing that he sat there.
Well, for him, it validates all of the years when he was hopelessly dreaming of help coming without having
Yes,
to lift a
but
finger.
exactly. It really does, like, he just thought that things were going to get better, and guess what? They did just magically get
So you
better
know
for
what?
him.
It proves me right. Yeah. You know what? If you just keep hoping for the best, it'll happen.
Ugh, and it wasn't like Feyre had to be kidnapped and
Other people had to
basically
suffer.
bargain for you to get all this, like,
It would be very hard to stomach him. And I do get that, Nesta. Feyre points out fairly that Nesta was out there spending every copper they had.
that's true too.
Nesta fires back that she knew Feyre could get more. And
That doesn't make it okay.
it doesn't. But if she couldn't, Nesta, if you have this plan, one of these days, tell me to lie to dad that there's
Yes.
nothing, and then I'll help you. Don't make me actually have to continue to suffer until I can't get more. Like, that's crazy. But Nesta says she was hoping that if Feyre couldn't get more, their father would finally step up and fight for them, but he never did, not the way that Feyre did.
She says that she hated Feyre for that, but she hated their father more. She actually hated their father before they were poor. She thinks that he let their mother die when he didn't have to, that he could have sailed the world for a cure, hired people to cross into Prythian, done something, which is a very childlike thought to have, you
Well,
know?
at that time, they seemed to have a lot of money. I don't know if she knew about his money troubles.
But also wasn't your mother terrible? Like, I know just because your mom's bad, you don't want her to die, but I'm surprised that she has held this much resentment because of something happening to their mother.
She saw their father better than any of them, whether she realized financially what he could or couldn't do. He wasn't assertive. He didn't step in to show like, to take care of them, and she saw that early and didn't forget. I think she also was hateful of Feyre because she knew that Nesta knew that she wouldn't be able to do what Feyre does.
Yeah, she does. Nesta doesn't hate Feyre because she was strong. She hated what Feyre proved over and over again, that someone could have fought for them and chose not to, their father. Once you know that love can look like action, you can never unsee the absence of it. And Nesta has been living with that absence long before the cupboards were empty. That was their father. It always was their father. It was just so much more highlighted.
It's very hard as a child to have to see your parents fail because when you're so young, you put them on a pedestal, you have expectations, and when you see especially your sibling who's younger doing things that the parent should be doing, it really opens your eyes, and I can understand why it would make her so resentful because there's a real moment of, "Oh, this is not how I thought it would be. This is not what I expected," and it's hard. She turns to Feyre and says, "You would have gone to the end of the earth to save your High Lord."
I love that she always says your high lord.
I know, like, thank you for just gifting him to me. If you are skipping the spoiler section, this is where we will pick up next week with chapters 31 to 36.
Let's talk about the glamour not working on Nesta. This is another one of those subjects where there are a lot of theories. And while I personally think it's the simplest answer, Sarah was showing us just how iron willed Nesta is. We'll discuss a few of the most popular theories. Some center on the Archeron's mother, a woman we know almost nothing about, and that's why it's so easy to project theories onto her.
Nesta was treated, groomed differently by their mother. Then there's Feyre's name being Fae in origin, which is interesting to hear later. There's moments where characters like Tamlin seem to imply prior knowledge of Feyre's mother specifically.
The leading theory is demi-fae heritage, with each sister inheriting or expressing that lineage differently. You can also connect Nesta, all of the sisters, to the Bone Carver's comments about an ancient fae warrior whose power still runs through human lines, and Nesta's later ability to take from the cauldron and her unnatural resistance to magic even before being made. It does make it seem like there's something more to her.
It could be that I had moments of thinking that because of the quote blight, aka Amarantha, taking part of Tamlin's magic, that he was able to cast a glamour, but it wouldn't be as strong. Kind of like in Vampire Diaries when Stefan tries to glamour, but he drinks funny bunny blood.
Yeah.
And so it's not the same as human blood.
Yeah.
And so I was about to say Ethan. Damon. I forgot his brother's name. Ian Somerhalder Damon could like undo all the glamour that Stefan would try to
Yeah.
do. It could be that, it could not. Maybe the glamour didn't fail because Nesta fought it, but because it couldn't recognize her as fully human.
Which doesn't actually make sense because we've seen glamours work on Faye, but maybe the dosage was wrong. Maybe, I mean, maybe Nesta really, she's so strong willed that she did need more, and Tamlin didn't have that much power to give to it.
Mhm.
There's also a strong thread around witch ancestry. Nesta's rage, her connection to iron, like the gouges that she leaves in the stone stairs at the House of Wind. And there's a lot of times that she's actually called a witch, like in Silver Flames. And finally, there's Mr. Archeron, his insistence that Feyre never return, whatever deal he made for Vassa.
His merchant dealings in Fey territory.
They could all of this could suggest that the Archeron family was orbiting the supernatural long before Feyre killed the wolf. But I think it's just, again, the simplest explanation. Nesta was just that bitch. From page 1, she's repeatedly described as having a will of iron. And when the false memory didn't align with what she knew to be true, she doesn't bend. She pushed back. So, yeah, there could be more under the surface, but I personally think that the glamour did not work on Nesta because Nesta Archeron does not break.
If you love the podcast, don't pull a Feyre and not tell us. Please rate and review wherever you're listening.
Thanks, y'all.